So the first time I heard about the 180-degree rule, I heard it on set, and I heard someone mention, oh, we can't do that, we would be crossing the line. And I was immediately stressed out and so confused because I thought that I was doing something wrong because I had no idea what they were talking about. Turns out they were talking about the 180-degree rule, and I have Stas here to explain what that means because you can do it a lot better than I can.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Well, the line is quite simply a line that goes through the character, goes through the actor, and goes either in the direction where the actor is directing his or her attention, or the direction in which the actor is moving. So since you and I are speaking to each other, both of us are directing attention towards each other, and the line quite literally goes through us.
Like this.
Yeah. And the line divides the space that we're in into 280-degree opposing sections.
Okay.
And the 180-degree rule is that as a scene is being covered, the camera should stay on the same side of this line that we just drew.
Okay, so this camera that we're looking at should not jump over here.
That's exactly right.
And
Either
why?
this camera or any other camera. So if this camera moves for another piece of coverage, it should stay on this side of the line. If a cinematographer puts another camera in a multi-camera coverage, all of the cameras should be simultaneously on the same side of the line.
Okay, so to help us visualize and understand, we have a line here, and this is the camera we're talking about. Is there like a threshold? Are there boundaries? Where does the line start and end here? Like how far can this camera move without jumping the line?
Well, as I said, the line is quite literally going through the two of us. And the easy part of that boundary is knowing that everything that's behind us is on the other side of the line.
Off limits.
Where things get a little bit confusing is that you can imagine someone putting the camera directly behind me, but slightly to the left of my head. Right? So when it gets really close to the line, then you kind of really have to be careful to make sure that you are sticking to the rule perfectly.
Now that we know the rule, why? Why shouldn't you jump the line?
I wouldn't even necessarily say you shouldn't jump the line. Sometimes jumping the line is exactly what you want narratively or emotionally.
It depends.
But it depends, exactly. But you do need to know what kind of an effect crossing this boundary would have.
Okay.
And we're working in a medium where we can place the viewer's, the audience's viewpoint anywhere we want. We can frame for close-up, we can frame for a very wide shot, we can put the character in any place in the frame we want, but we do need to keep in mind that when those shots change in the movie, when we cut from one shot to the other, the audience isn't disoriented or confused. And one of the things that disorients and confuses the audience, or can, is when a character suddenly changes the direction in which the character is pointing or looking. So,
I
for
see.
instance, you right now are looking from frame right towards frame left. And if the camera was flipped to the other side of the line, say shooting over my left shoulder, when we cut to that shot, you would suddenly be looking from frame left to frame right. And that could be confusing or just disorienting to the audience.
Right. Because why did we switch places?
Exactly.
We're saying frame left and frame right a lot. So frame left is everything on the left side of the frame. Frame right is everything on the right side of the frame. So I'm frame right, looking frame left, and we never want to, it depends, but generally we really would disorient someone if at some point I was here looking this way all of a sudden.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And I'm
great.
very impressed with your ability to visualize frame left and frame right from the actor's standpoint, because I'm usually on the other side of the camera, and for me, flipping the direction is actually quite challenging. So.
Actors are trained
Impressive.
to know that at least. It's stage left, stage right when you're in school, but now we know. Is there an easier, kind of less numbery and conceptual, like hard line rule way to think about it?
I think different things might be easier for different people. Some people really like the line. It allows them to very kind of easily split the space into two halves in their head, and then they always make sure the camera is on one side of that space division. for some people, myself included, the line isn't as useful as just simply looking at the direction in which the character is looking. If I'm operating the camera and I'm looking at the monitor and I see you, for instance, looking from frame right to frame left, I'll remember that. I won't even necessarily have to consciously think about remembering it. It's just in my mind, the scene will play out with you looking from frame right to frame left. So as we're moving through the coverage for the scene, I will always make sure to place you, the character, on frame right, looking towards frame left.
So now that we know the rule and understand why, how can an actor from their, place on set be helpful and remember what side of the line they're on so that if everyone's busy and a mistake is made, which happens, they can kind of help?
And for you, the approach would be exactly the mirror reflection of what I'm doing. You would just simply notice what side of your look direction the camera is located to.
Okay.
For instance, in this case, the camera is to the left side of where you're looking, and you'll just keep in mind that the camera should always stay to the left of you. And if, for whatever reason that happens, you go into some piece of coverage and you notice that the camera is now on the other side of the line, then it may be worth having a conversation either with the director or the cinematographer or even the camera operator of why that change had happened
All right.
and whether or not that change was intentional.
Okay. Because it does depend, and sometimes it is intentional, but it's always good to know if you're
Absolutely.
accidentally on the wrong side of the line for some reason. All right. Thank you, Stas, for explaining
course.
with us. We are going to go into some practical exercises to show you what we mean.